My name is Chen. I'm a software developer on a Lightning team. Today, I'm basically going through the journey of this migration. We'll go through some high-level introductions of the technology we're using and the tricks and tips you can use. And we'll have a bunch of demos after that, and we'll take questions in the end. First and foremost, forward-looking statements, the things we talk about today might change when it really gets released. Make your decision of purchasing based on what's in production today. So before I moved to Lightning team, I was actually on Visualforce team for 2 years. Even for myself, I had a hard time convincing myself why Lightning is better than Visualforce. So here's a quick rundown of the difference. First of all, Visualforce, remember there's a thing called view state. It contains two things, component tree and apex objects. Because for Visualforce, both client-side and server-side are stateless. These two things get passed along back and forth for each initial get and every other postback requests, which lots of overhead and very heavy on network. And also, all the postbacks are in the form of HTML, so that's very heavy on bandwidth. Now for Lightning, the process like when you request Lightning for the first time, it loads all the bootstrapping to the client side and builds the component tree on the client side, and all the rendering after that are mostly happening down there. And also for the actual data that the client side needs, is basically just pull from server, and it can store in the client side data storage. And whenever you need new data, you simply just pull data from server and in JSON format. Be aware that you can do this way, this optimized way, and if you want to make it like Visualforce read-only, have minimum data on the client side, you can do that as well. So this is a technical difference. There also be aware that for the many new features that come in, they will only come in to Lightning. Visualforce will not add many more features, especially for the new features coming into Lightning experience. So I hope you feel better about the migration now and how exactly do we do it. Here's the journey of a standard 4-phase development. I'm going to guide you through each step. So before you start, you definitely want to plan ahead, see if you can migrate, if it's feasible, and what exactly you need to do. First and foremost, it's changing experience, because Visualforce is page-based. There are lots of redirects, and every work you do is basically just one page, and after it's done, you'll totally switch to the next page. For Lightning, it's mostly optimized for app-based development. Think of any mobile app or Lightning experience where we hope the user to just stay in one browser tab and finish the whole workflow. Then after you decide on how to change experience, you can basically collect all your investment into your Visualforce development. There are lots of things you can reuse in Lightning. I'll have a demo to show exactly how you can do that. And finally, there are naming differences between the components in Visualforce and the Lightning components. It'll take a while to know the parity, but after that, it's become fairly easy. So after planning, you should be comfortable and thinking you can do this and know how you roughly should organize your work items throughout the development phase. Now move on to develop. Here I'm going to introduce a series of technologies you can use to make it easier for you. First of all is 2 IDEs we offer. This one is not released yet, but it's coming soon. Lightning Component Builder. So nowadays, some people use Developer Console. It's EXT-based and pretty old, and lots of features not available there. And this one is like an upgrade version of Developer Console specifically for Lightning development. You have access to all the components and all the useful links to the documentations. In the middle section is the code editor. It's highlighted. You'll have real-time validation and auto-suggest which attribute, which component you can use as you type. And on the right side is a bunch of dependencies and attributes specific to the component in the central stage. And you can also do a preview inside the same window as well. So this one is basically when you're trying to build a component from scratch, or you want to build some components that have very deep connection between each other. So you need to write lots of code for it. And after you build those components, you can move on to Lightning App Builder. This one is already available in production today. It's more like a drag and drop interface. On the left-hand side is a list of components offered by Salesforce, developed by your own team, or the components from AppExchange. You can simply just drag and drop those components onto the page. You can see how the page will look exactly when it actually gets published inside your work. And on the right-hand side, you can set all the attributes, like what account you want to associate with, what's the default value for certain fields. So this is basically the last step when you move to developing a whole page. Next up is we call Lightning Out. It's basically you can use Lightning components inside your Visualforce page. We'll have a demo for that as well. The basic syntax is like this. You can see the standard Apex page. In the JavaScript area, you can use $lightning.use, $lightning.create component to create and interact with the Lightning components inside your Visualforce page. So you imagine your org, you're not fully migrated yet. You just want to try one Lightning component and see how it works and immediately put it in use inside your Visualforce environment, and you can use Lightning Out. So on the contrary, you can also use Lightning you can also use Visualforce in Lightning. Just imagine you have most of Lightning component developed, and there are only one or two components that are really hard to change. You can still use those Visualforce components inside Lightning. They also show up in the Lightning App Builder. You can just drag them into the UI. Visualforce is also available. You click on the left-hand navigation, and it'll show up. Visualforce page will show up on the right-hand side. It's also available as a global action inside the Lightning experience. Next up is the standard controller. It's a very convenient feature in Visualforce where you don't have to write JavaScript or Apex. You can immediately pull data from the server side, and the whole page and the whole component will take shape of the object you selected. And in Lightning, we developed something similar. This one will also come soon. You can use force record component. In here, you can specify account or contact in place of v.record, v.record ID in here, and here's how it works. After you specify that, it'll pull those data from server to client and put them in shared record cache. So when multiple components, if they want to pull that data, they basically pull from the shared area, shared storage. They don't have to make multiple round trips to the server. So after development, we want to do test. I think nowadays for Visualforce, different organizations have their own way of doing it. Lots of people use Selenium and other technologies. And finally, for Lightning, we'll offer a component test service. So when you write Lightning components, you have like component, controller, design, SVG, all those definitions. And you can also write a test as one of the definitions as part of the bundle that will cover the test cases for that specific component. And here, a quick example is the test for a custom label. And you can pull your actual value from the component markup with the component.getElement. You can set your expectation and your the error message you prepared, and with $a.test.assertion, and you can do different assertions and check if pass or fail. The testing service is also coming soon, by the way. Then after you write the test, how do you run it? We'll offer the test runner. Here you basically can select all the tests from inside your organization or from the managed package if they allow it. It'll run through all of them, show you pass and fail. You will be able to run this test both on client side and server side. On client side, it will render the component and show it in the browser. You can use any browser tool you like and to debug and see what's going on. And for the integration cases, you can use the server-side runner. It's similar to Apex test execution, where you just file API requests or do it from UI. We'll do it asynchronously on server side and show the result after that. And finally, after going through all those fun, we finally come to the launching phase. Here you can either go back to the beginning to convert the next batch of components from Visualforce to Lightning, or you can activate your Lightning experience for users. You don't have to activate for all the users at once. You can first release it to a batch of test users. If they think it's OK, you can release it to all your users based on the profile. Also, if something goes wrong, you can always fall back to Visualforce if you prepared multiple layouts and navigation menus inside your Lightning experience or your application, where every link or every tab in there are connecting to a Visualforce page instead of Lightning components. So that's the whole journey, and hope you learned something about it. And after that, we'll have a few demos to show you how to do things. And here is one example, and probably as simple as I can think of, where it's just a Visualforce data table, and here with 4 fields, name, type, number of employees, and phone. They're from account object. Here, for the demo's sake, we're not using standard controller. So inside the markup here, we'll have a HTML-based table using Apex repeat to pull the content from the controller. And inside Apex controller is simple, simply get accounts and with a circle statement and to return those fields. So how do we convert this list to a Lightning component? Lots of things can be reused. You can reuse the Apex controller. You can reuse this table markup you have here that start from the controller. So number one thing you want to do is to write aura enable annotation so that aura know this Apex method can be used inside Lightning. And next thing you have to do is to try to convert your Apex class into static methods. Because for Aura, remember all the data model are on client side, and on the server side it's simply a stateless helper that it can pull data, send it, and collect. And fortunately, in this case, it's ready, can be converted to static, so we'll make it static now. On the page, did I change something? Oh, you guys are awesome. Thank you. So as you can see, after you do those changes, the Visualforce page still renders fine. So for intermediate, it won't break your existing Visualforce pages. Now move on to developer console. Already have a skeleton up in here. Our attribute with account is where you'll store your account data. And inside controller calls into helper, and inside helper is just a simple standard callback to the server to pull the data using that Apex class we already have. And what we can do is to copy and paste your table into your Lightning component markup. One thing we have to change is instead of Apex repeat, we have to find a Lightning component that does the same thing. So inside your work, you can basically go to /aura docs. And it will guide you into this UI where you can, in a list, you can see a list of components. Not many for now, but there will be more later on. You can see the overview, what fields have, and see examples. It looks like a list is similar to something we want to use. And here is one example. Our iteration is a component we want to use, and you have items and var attributes. And also remember for the expressions, we need the v.accounts. V here stands for view, and v.accounts will point to our attributes in this component. Now we save the component, go to Lightning App Builder. Here's the component we just created. Let me reload it. Yeah, the template is a little bit off, but here's the list is rendered. And you can also just add this component into your Lightning experience navigation menu. And after that, when you log into your Lightning experience environment, you can simply view it as one application. So that's the end of my demo. It's fairly simple. And next up, let me introduce Anas, who is also on my team. He will guide you through a few more advanced examples.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Thanks again for coming to our session. My name is Anas Jadala. I work with the Lightning component team. And before that, like Chen, I was working with the Visualforce team. So in the previous demo, Chen showed us an example where he started from a Visualforce page and then migrated to a Lightning component. However, like this, you don't always have from a Visualforce. You don't always have to start from a Visualforce page. So think of this scenario where we have a big organization, you have lots of users, and you're in the process of migrating to Lightning UI. Half of your users are already migrated to Lightning, and the other half are still using the classic UI. So in this case, you want to implement a new feature, and you want to provide this functionality to both set of users, the classic UI users and the Lightning UI users. So what are you going to do in this case? Are you going to develop a Visualforce page for classic UI users and Lightning components for Lightning UI users? Well, won't be nice if I'm able to develop a Lightning component for Lightning UI users and also at the same time host it in Visualforce, so the users will have consistent experience after they migrate to Lightning component, to Lightning UI. In this demo, I will be showing an example of how to host a Lightning component inside a Visualforce page. So basically, this is all based on, it's called Lightning components for Visualforce page. I'm gonna just change this one here. Yep. So Lightning components for Visualforce is built on Lightning Out. Lightning Out is a technology that allows you to embed a Lightning component almost in any web page in the world. Like whether it is like a Heroku app, like an app running in Heroku server, or your SharePoint server behind a firewall. Using Lightning Out, you should be able to embed the Lightning component in any web page. However, if you're still using it inside Salesforce, you get lots of stuff for free. You don't have to worry about authentication or configuring a connected app. So in this case, in our example, it's very simple. I will start with the output that Chen produced, which is the Lightning component that he showed the table. And we'll host it and embed it inside a Visualforce page. The two major steps. I just want to open the developer console here. The first step is actually to create a Lightning Out dependency app. When you create a new Lightning bundle, you specify Lightning Out dependency app. Once you have it, I have already created one for you, which is basically once you mark that checkbox, you will get a Lightning, an Aura application that is globally accessible and that extends Lightning Out app. All you have to do inside this app is to define a dependency or declare a dependency on the component that you want to host inside Visualforce page. So in this case, it's the account list component that Chen created in the previous example. The next step is just to go to Visualforce page. It can be any Visualforce. It doesn't have to be a new Visualforce page. Any Visualforce page that you have, and tell that page to load the Lightning Out app. So in this example, in that page, all we have to do, let me just maybe account list page. All we have to do is in this page, add this apex include Lightning, which will tell the Visualforce page to load all the Lightning Out libraries, and just write a simple script which basically tells the page to use the Lightning Out app and create the component, pass it to that app. So the output will be something like this. Okay, so you see the same table that you've seen in the Lightning UI. You can now see it inside Visualforce, inside the classic UI, which is basically leveraged through a Visualforce page. So what does this mean? There are two use cases for this. First of all, if you have a new feature, now you can confidently develop in a Lightning component for it, and you don't have to worry about creating a Visualforce page for other users. You can just, with the minimal effort, you can embed it or show it in a classic UI. Also, let's assume you have like a big, gigantic legacy Visualforce page. The fact that you can embed a Lightning component in the middle of that page makes you think, why not I split this page into smaller pieces or modules and then migrate each module to a Lightning component gradually. So in this case, you will have easier transition and migration because you can migrate gradually, and it will simplify the testing. Once you're confident and comfortable that you've tested everything, you can migrate the whole page after, which will be basically made up of multiple components. So this basically is the Lightning Out. You just see how simple it is, just creating a Lightning Out app and tell the Visualforce page how to load it. In the next demo, I will be talking about Lightning Quick Actions. So in this upcoming release, we added support for Lightning Quick Actions. Just wanna here, where is it? So in the upcoming release, we've added the support for Lightning Quick Actions. Lightning Quick Actions is basically the parity of Visualforce Quick Actions. If you have used the Visualforce Quick Actions before, if you haven't used it, it's basically a quick action button that shows up in any context. Once you click on it, it will show a Visualforce page so the user can interact with and do some actions. The same thing, Lightning Quick Actions is an action button that shows up in a context of a standard object like account, control, lead, whatever, or can be globally accessible. And once you trigger or click on that action, it will show a modal window for you. It will load the component so the user can do some actions, and then after that, it will be reflected onto that account. The same thing, actually, it's also solved the purpose as well, the JavaScript buttons as well. So if you have a JavaScript button or Visualforce Quick Action, now you can easily migrate to Lightning UI by creating or migrating them into Lightning Quick Actions. In order to create a Lightning Quick Action, it's actually three main steps. First step, you need to create the content that you want to show, which is basically the Lightning component. The next step is to create the action, and then the third step is to tell the layout, to tell the system where do you want to put this in the layout. I will take you through the exercise here, which is basically, let's think of it, I have an account with multiple contacts. And along the way, I have some updates. When I'm working with that account, I want to update these contacts. So for this reason, I created contact notification component, which is basically it's a component that shows a list of contacts in here in a table that the admin or whoever is working with the account can select, and then specify a subject and a content and for the email that will be sent to the contacts, and then just send it. And if you notice, by the way, like anything that will, any quick action, any Lightning quick action has to implement the Force Lightning quick action interface for it to be eligible for Lightning quick action. And also, like if you are running this quick action from inside, from the context of a standard object like an account, you need Force has record ID, because you want to tell that component, the component using, when you include the Force has record ID, the component will know from where this, which record was, from which record this account was, this action was triggered. For my example, I created also a server-side controller to help me get the account, the contacts, and help me send the email to the contacts in here. Let's go back to the contact notification component. Also in the initialization, this component gets the account info, the contacts, and also send to the server the email that the user, like the user has specified for the contacts. Now I've created the content. I will show it to you in a few seconds. Now I created the content. I need to create the action itself. So how can I create the action? Basically, if I go to, where is it? Okay, here we go. If I go to Object Manager, since I want to create that action in the context of an account, I select the account object, and then I go to Buttons, Links, and Actions, and create a new action here. The action type, we added this new action type, which is Lightning component. Once you click it, it will give you all the Force, the components that implement Force has, Force Lightning quick actions. In this example, I have the contact notification component. You specify the, let's say I want to have it 450, notify contacts. Okay, and then save. I've already created one, so I'll just cancel this. Which is exactly the same as this one. Now, after creating this action, you need to tell Salesforce where to put it. In our case, we want to add it to account detail page. So I edit the account layout. And in account layout, all I have to do is go to Salesforce 1 and Lightning Actions and drag and drop the notifying contacts. I've already dropped it in here. So now we've created the content that we want to show to do the actions. To do like any operation on the account. We created the action, linked the content to the action, and then specified where we want to put this action in the account detail page. After this, we're set. We just go to accounts. This example, I'll just pick this one here. When you are in the detail page of the account, it actually shows up in these actions. Because I put it in the end, it will show up at the end here, notify contacts. If I put it at the beginning, it will show up here. So when I click on this, the behavior is it will pops up a modal window that will let you, that will have the component that I've created, which is basically the table as I showed you. I can select which contact I want. I can specify the whatever. Like if I try, it's a working component. So let's assume I have either and try to send to, please select at least one contact. I want to send to all of them, and then once I send, if you notice, now the message, the window disappeared after that, and this is because I've already here on the successful sending of the message, I fire force close quick action. So in this case, like you can do the operation that you want in the action. The action will auto close itself once you're done. You don't have to click on the cancel button here. And where is it? Okay. You don't have to click on the cancel button here or the notify contacts. And let's see if the email was sent. So, yeah, there you go. So it was sent successfully. Now, the thing, if let's go back to the, let's go back to this one here. So if I have already like a modal window which auto closes itself, so I don't need really the header here or the cancel button here, right? So for this reason, if you go back to here and you can have a different variation of the layout of the modal window if you use the Lightning Quick Action without header. So if we go back to the account and refresh, then if we trigger this action, you see, we don't have to, like, the window will auto closes itself. I don't have to add other stuff. So it's just an embedded component inside it. One last thing I want to show. In the previous example, we showed a simple lightning out example where we have the, where I used the table that Chen created before. I've already created another lightning out for this example, which shows like you can host multiple components inside Visualforce, and they are working exactly as they behave in Lightning components. So basically, I created the let's here contact notification lightning out dependency app, which declares a dependency on the contact notification components. And then I have a Visualforce page, a notification page. Here you go. Which actually include Lightning and uses the reference the app and create the component dynamically. If we want to see how it shows up in the context of the Visualforce, you see, it's the same component now show up in Visualforce, and let's see that if it's working or not. Let's see, like for example, I try to send. Please specify. Let's say hello again. And try to send again, it's not working. Let's specify these three. Let's say, okay, it's now message was sent successfully. Let's go to the messages again. Okay, here you go, hello again. So the component, like, it's not just a layout, it's the same functional component, Lightning component that you have in Lightning UI. You can host it in Visualforce and work with it the same way you are working with the in Lightning UI. And this actually concludes my demo. Thank you again for coming to our session. I will stick around for more questions if you have. Yep, thank you.